Hi, I'm Councilwoman Jane Bonner, and I'm here with my friends Bill Reitzig and Father Frank Pizzarelli. We're here to talk about the War on Addiction rally that's to be held at the Pennysaver Amphitheater on April 21st at 10:30 in the morning till 12 p.m. The rally is in memory of Bill Reitzig's son Billy, who was lost to an overdose. Why don't you fill us in on from last year's walk to this year's rally and how we got to this point?
Sounds good, and thank you, Jane, for inviting us. We did a Hope Walk for Addiction last year that benefited Hope House. We had close to 700 people at Cedar Beach. A great day, except for the weather. And we had the Hope Band, very inspirational. We had a number of people who are looking for preventative information, education, and also we had a lot of people who were struggling and in treatment and so forth. And we had close to 700 people, raised some money for Hope House, which was important, and really got the community together. So we're very happy what we did there. And as you said, this year, last year we walked, this year we're going to rally. And that's going to be at the Pennysaver Amphitheater on Saturday, April 21st.
You know, one of the things I remember about the walk last year was how eloquently and forcefully Father Frank got his message across, as only Father Frank can do. Father Frank, why don't you touch on some things that you want our viewers to know about this?
Well, first, I think what's most important, and Jane, again, I echo Bill's gratitude that as one of our local leaders that you are really committed to this issue, because I think that is one of the big concerns. Bill has always said that he and Sandy and his girls decided to be proactive rather than bury their heads in the sand, and I think 2 years later I would like to be able to sit with you and Bill and say we've made great advancements in providing more treatment beds and more opportunities for families in our larger community who are struggling with the addiction issue. We don't have one more bed.
I know.
And it will continue to be that as long as people continue to be silent. And this is why this rally is so important, because unfortunately those in leadership in higher places are dropping the ball, because it's not just about money. There are so many simple things that we could do. We have hospitals in this county that are underutilized that immediately could become detox units with just some adjustments to take people who are struggling with coming down from heroin and other prescription drugs that just make life very, very difficult. No one's challenging the insurance companies who are sentencing our kids to death. I can't tell you how many young people I've buried who are told go to short-term, go to outpatient treatment first, fail there,
Right, fail.
and then we'll pay for 28 days, which right now is down to 11 days. How unconscionable that is to promise one thing and then give another.
It's immoral.
And it is immoral, but what do families do who are struggling? And so we need a voice there. The Parity Act that was signed into law 10 years ago is not being enforced. We are not getting the kind of dollars for drug and alcohol and mental health treatment that regular medical care is provided with insurance. And so those are things that we want to give voice to, and also encourage people to really write to their senators, to their congresspersons, to the people in Albany, and say, come on, we need to do something now. The governor signed allegedly a bill, a budgetary thing of $30 million. That was 2 years ago. I testified before every committee that you can imagine. I'm still waiting for the RFPs. And that's a request for proposals for those who might be not sure what that is. And I know what that process is like. It's going to be another year. And that's craziness. That's craziness. You know, we don't need people to provide treatment as a form of a profit-making business. That just, to me, is just so unconscionable that people want to make money on someone else's affliction. I have 62 beds. I could fill another 62 beds within a day. And these young people are committing a year to 18 months. Evidence-based treatment is suggesting that hardcore heroin addicts need long-term treatment.
Long-term, not 11 days.
Not 11 days. And we need to continue to work to lift the shame. You know, it's a disease. And like any disease, people don't choose to take or to be infected by that disease. Yes, young people make poor choices, but if we would stop stigmatizing it.
So I'm so glad that you touched on that, because part of what I think, and certainly I'm not an expert like you are, as all the letters after your name and a social worker being some of them, there's still so much shame surrounded by specifically heroin addiction.
Absolutely.
And I think that between the shame and the embarrassment, that feeds the fuel of we don't want a treatment center in our neighborhood. Those kinds of things don't happen here. Well, I have news for you. I'm not telling you gentlemen anything different. You live in a beautiful community of Miller Place. It's everywhere. It's
Let me
all
tell
around
you,
us.
10% of the young people that are living with me are from Miller Place, from Mount Sinai, from the 3 villages. It doesn't have a particular profile, and that's what people need to be conscious of. We need to talk about younger people who are now becoming infected. We need to talk about a recovery high school. And again, we can be creative and think outside the box. Immediately people say, oh, it costs money, da-da-da-da-da. It does. But we have so much unutilized opportunity in this county that could be used to support initiatives like that.
And certainly the approach has to be creative, because it's not a one-size-fits-all.
Absolutely, Jane, and that's one of the things that people don't get. And because so many people are so uneducated, you know, they get brainwashed into thinking you need to do it this way or that way. I'll be the first to say I've been doing this for over 30 years. What I do works for a lot of people. We have a very good success rate, but it isn't for everyone. And I will never stand anywhere and say, if you don't do it my way, that person's not going to get better. Do I think some of the things we do are very helpful and effective? Yes. But a person has to be open to that, and sometimes they're not. But you don't give up, you know. In the field of mental health and social work these days, we use the phrase harm reduction. We want to keep people safe rather than judging them.
Mm-hmm.
If we look in other parts of the world where they have a needle exchange and they have safe places, that would make people in our community crazy if we talked about that. But we need to find a way to touch the growing number of young people. Before I came here, yesterday, I had a funeral for another young man, overdose, left 2 kids. And he had been troubled with drugs since his late teens, and he was 44. You know, it's just very painful. So Bill's commitment and his family's commitment to this addiction rally is phenomenal, because I think it's an opportunity to let people come out of the cracks and the shade, and, you know, seek support, seek help, be aware of the resources. We want to give voice to the insurance issue, which is scandalous. I don't know why no one wants to take them on. I want to sue them for all the young people they've sentenced to death. But everyone seems to back off. And I want to challenge our hospitals. Stop worrying about their bottom line.
The bottom line.
And let's look at how, as community hospitals, they could do more.
You know, you have a family like the Reitzig family that has all the resources at their fingertips, and a beautiful family, and you can't even imagine how a tragedy could touch a family like that. But yet there's probably very few people on Long Island, and specifically New York State, that haven't been touched by this, you know, whether it be in their own family, a friend, or extended family.
Jane, I mentioned at the council meeting the other night that there's no family out there that isn't touched some way with addiction, whether it's alcohol, opiates, whether it's somebody they work with, a relative, someone they deal with in a store. It's touching our community. It's touching our entire nation. In Suffolk County, in 2016, 360 people died just in Suffolk County, over 500 on Long Island. And in Suffolk County in 2017, 408. That's a 13.3% increase. And I was fortunate with Billy. Yes, we had the resources to take him to rehab and to do certain things that. So I can't imagine to be in a place where I'm a parent and I couldn't do something.
And you don't know where to turn.
No. We did a lot. I don't know. Honestly, I don't know if we could have done more for our son, but maybe we could have done certain things differently. But and conversely, with the struggles and the pain that these people go through, he struggled every day, and he didn't want to disappoint himself or us or his sisters or he had a great job, though, the people he worked with, but he struggled every day. So with this rally that we're doing, we have some advocacy items, and we're looking to ask people to consider signing some petitions and challenge the insurance industry and do some other things that I think that we can make a difference with.
Give a voice and a pen to paper to let our elected officials know in our state and federal government that we're not going away until
Absolutely not.
there's multiple pronged resolutions to this problem. And problem doesn't even describe it properly.
Bill and Sandy, as a husband, wife, and family, did everything. The passing of their son only further underscores how horrible this disease is, because he was doing so well. And because we don't talk about the mental health part of addiction, because again, God forbid that someone might be battling some other issues. And if that's not treated in concert, and that's a daily thing, as Bill said, Billy did well every day, but every day he struggled internally. And only Billy knows down deep in his soul how painful that was.
Mm-hmm.
I see it because I live with drug addicts every day. And I really ache for them. People just don't get it. They think it's just like washing your hands. You just do this.
Just don't do it.
And
Don't do them.
And you're fine. And that's the craziness of it all, because it's not that simple. It's so complicated. And that's why this Rally for Addiction is so critical, to educate people, to make them aware of the complexity of this issue. And again, I think if we started earlier and if we really did better at educating our kids, in elementary school, not just that crash course when they're juniors and seniors in high school, but really beginning in early elementary school and let them really know what they're playing with. I mean, we still have physicians that prescribe narcotic painkillers when I have said to young men that live with me, they're addicts, and they give them a narcotic
I hear that.
painkiller.
I do.
And that's unconscionable. One of the things that we're also trying to do, Jane, that would be helpful, putting the word out. The Diocese of Rockville Center, I'm on a committee to spearhead, is trying to motivate the entire Nassau-Suffolk community by having a weekend dedicated to an addiction awareness, that at all of our Catholic church services, we would speak about addiction,
Oh,
have
how do I
resources.
help with that?
By just letting me say this,
Yeah.
having materials available, putting together resources, and then to have a program, a live TV call-in program on telecare, where people can actually, who are struggling, call in and have a whole host of professionals that are in the field
Wonderful.
give support. I share that because wouldn't it be wonderful if all of the faith traditions would be willing to join in on that?
I was just thinking that.
And really, really make their congregants aware of what's happening to our young people, especially, but not just young people. I have young men that are in their late 40s and 50s. But that would be a great way to raise consciousness. And then what we're doing as a follow-up, and this has already begun, thanks to parents that have sons living with me, is to have a recovery mass once a month in all of the different regions throughout Nassau and Suffolk. So people who need support can come together and feel support. Those who have kids that are still actively using out there, who are dying every day because they can't encourage their son or daughter enough to get help. And then those who have lost their sons and daughters, who need the support of the community.
It's a perfect dovetail, because so many parishes and other religious institutions host AA and our
HA,
yes.
SA, and now everybody's doing Narcan training.
Yes.
And
Yes. So it's a perfect segue.
Yes.
It really, really is. Bill, at the March 22nd town board meeting, you and Sandy came and spoke about losing Billy. You read you read something in Billy's voice.
Yeah.
It was very, very emotional. And we'll be showing that video that'll be spliced into this. Maybe we can go to the video now.
First, let me start off by reading an article from Father Frank Pizzarelli at Hope House, if you don't mind, in Port Jefferson. It was written, he wrote it for the Times-Beacon Record in May of 2016, and I quote his words. These are excerpts from a powerful letter written by a grieving dad in his loving son's name. Since his son's death, he, his wife, and daughters have committed themselves to raising awareness to this national health epidemic that is claiming so many lives rich with potential and possibility. So again, these are just excerpts, and I appreciate your patience on this. Thank you. And he said, on April 26, I presided at a funeral like no other in my 37 years within our community. The young man died too young. He was only 25. He came from a loving, tight-knit family. At the end of his funeral mass, his father came to the pulpit and shared these powerful reflections. And I quote, at my funeral, these were the words spoken through my dad. I passed away on April 22nd, 2016, and I am looking for help to help those who struggle like I did. This is my story and my truth. My name is Billy. I want to thank you all for coming and supporting my family. I shouldn't be in this box, but I am, and I'm doing great now. You know, I am both a simple and complicated person. I am private, very private and proud. But even though I am so private, my family and friends knew so much about me. For those who may not really know me, I'm going to share myself with you. And I'm doing this as a setup to what I wanted to do here today. As a kid, I loved my sister Jenna because she taught me how to play baseball and everything else. And I wish the kids that were here earlier were still here from the cheerleaders. I love baseball, playing catch, doing pop-ups with grounders with my dad. I love my sister. She was my second mother. She always made sure I was safe. I love my mom. I love my dog Bullet, etc. I grew up in Miller Place. I loved baseball and my close friends. You know, I didn't like school, except, of course, if the teacher was pretty. See, I had a problem with pills, actually, for a long time. This disease tortured me and tormented me. My mom and dad took me to rehab several times. I did internal rehabs every minute of every day of my life. At times I was successful for long stretches, but then I would give in, and I don't know why. I just can't explain. It weighed heavy on me. So let me tell you what happened on Friday, April 22nd, 2016. It was a great day. I was outside. The sun was shining. It was warm, especially as I shot some basketball hoops in the driveway. I saw Mom and texted her again later. I went to Stop and Shop for candy. Couldn't wait for Dad to get home the weekend. Cousin Dave's house on Sunday, Game of Thrones Sunday night. Then the devil took over. He tormented me like many times before. My heart hurt. My brain wasn't working right. I went and sold a valuable mine and bought heroin. For the first time, I thought I had a plan that would last. But, of course, instead it killed me. I went softly as God said I had had enough. The devil wasn't going to torment me anymore. I was at home where I love to be, and now I'm in heaven smiling. I'm sorry that I've caused you so much pain. I always worried about everyone too. I need everyone to go back to their routines and be safe. Please listen to me. Hug your loved ones like I've hugged and kissed my mom, my dad, and sisters. Don't let a minute go by without saying I love you. My pain is over. Enjoy. Be happy for me. Make me proud. Be loyal to each other. Lastly, I always struggling with what I was going to do in life, my future. How can I be successful and live up to my own expectations? I now know I'm smiling because I actually got asked to be an angel, to watch over, my dad and mom and all the people I love and care for. I found my calling, and I have a lot of work to do. Please be smart, be careful. I love you all, Pastor Sky. My name is Billy. Don't forget me. So, obviously, that was my son. He was a great young man, had a great job, worked for Marriott International, the Ritz-Carlton Hotel. Never been arrested, never in trouble with the law. Took heroin once, and it killed him the first time it took it. So what we're doing is we're here to make a difference. I know in my mind, my wife knows, we could not have done any more to help this young man. And we know that he could not have done anything more to help himself. So we didn't bury our heads in the sand. Since that day, we've spread the words on education, awareness, and indeed, in our feelings, have helped many struggling people and their families. With the help of everyone here, the town of Brookhaven, Supervisor Romaine, and in particular Jane Bonner and Lori Murphy, we conducted a Hope Walk for Addiction last year at Cedar Beach in Mount Sinai. Almost 700 people in a cold, rainy day. Well, this year, instead of walking, we're going to do a rally at the Pennysaver Amphitheater on Saturday, April 21st at 10:30. I think there's a press release that was issued by the town, and very appreciative of that. We have an action-packed agenda with passionate speakers, self-help experts, including the town's youth council, who are quite good, quite frankly, and community leaders. More importantly, we have some success stories to talk about. We need to reach schools with structured programs and for prevention and warning signs and treatment and recovery recommendations. We need fundraising for more beds in our community. We also will be advocating for public policy change for more government spending, school programs, and regulations. In 2016, nationally, 64,000 people died of overdoses in our country. For instance, auto accidents were at 34,000 that year, and shootings at 32,000, including suicides. Locally, in 2016, many of you probably know that we had over 500 deaths in Suffolk. On Long Island, I should say. Suffolk, in 2016, had 360 of those 500. In 2017, you may not know it yet, but there was 408, and that list could still climb a little bit, up 13%. This isn't going away. So please join us in this action, this war on addiction. I urge you to reach out to all the people that you know and the loved ones, and quite frankly, everyone in this room probably knows somebody, whether they know it or not, that has an addiction problem. And all I can say is, the day my son died, I asked my brother, "What am I going to do?" And he says, I was crying, and I still cry every day. And he says, "Bill, you're going to fight," and that's what we're doing. So please support us, and please join us on April 21st at the Pennysaver Amphitheater at 10:30 in the morning. Thank you.
That was an incredibly powerful video to see. It was very, very powerful to be there that night, to hear you read that. And I know that people in the audience as well were very, very moved by it. I think it's important that we do discuss the new venue, the change, and your anticipation of what you expect people that are going to be there, what the rally is going to be like.
Sure. As I explained at the council meeting, and I was very happy to be there. Unfortunately, the crowd behind me wasn't nearly large enough, to hear what we have to say. Every time I hear of a parent losing somebody or somebody passing away from this affliction, I just cringe, and I don't. And to follow up what we said before, I don't know how I would get by if it wasn't for the work that we try to do and the support I've gotten back from Father Frank and Hope House Ministries. So the purpose of this event really is threefold. We want to, we of course want to raise funds. It is a free event. We're asking people to register, but we would like to raise funds for Hope House and try to add one more bed, which is not happening as of
Because it's
late.
important for people to know that Father Frank said at the beginning,
Yep.
this isn't a money-making venture for him. The money that is raised goes to helping the people that he treats.
It's survival.
You know, what did you tell us, that you spend $50,000 on milk a year?
We do. And Bill's point, and maybe we should clarify, I purposely don't take insurance because I don't want people to feel that if they don't have the insurance, that their son wouldn't be considered, that they wouldn't be eligible for treatment. And I don't expect that the rest of the world can do what we do. I've dedicated my life to do that, and that's okay. But every dollar that's given goes right to treatment to support the staff that we need to take care of the young men that are living in community, and to provide all kinds of resources. Like, people don't understand. It's not like you give them a prescription and you do A, B, and C and you're better. I mean, they make a commitment to a year to 18 months, but there's all kinds of things that they take place psychologically, spiritually, humanly, occupationally, and career-wise. And that takes a very dedicated staff and a willingness to do some things that are outside the box.
You're rebuilding a person in a year
Yes.
to 18 months.
Which we're trying desperately.
So we're rallying this year.
Yep, that's correct. And as I said earlier, it's a three-prong approach. The fundraising is an important aspect to it. I think, however, the more important aspect is to talk about prevention and warning signs, and to give parents or loved ones a heads up. Well, this isn't right. Something could be wrong. Seek help right away, because I think that the sooner you can seek help, the better. And then we, of course, will have some treatment seminars and teachings and speakings. We've got 6 or 7 really, I think, dedicated action-packed speakers, including Father Frank, and we're excited about that. And then, as I said, the advocacy. We're looking to do this for change. We need to change something,
Right.
because what's working now is not working.
It's not working.
Right.
We should also say that we'll also be providing Narcan training
That's correct.
and drug testing kits.
That's correct.
So if residents are desirous of learning how to use Narcan, just to have a drug testing kit in your house, just in case, or if you're suspicious, that's a good thing to have as well. And
Shed the Meds is another one.
it's my favorite thing that I do in my council district. We do a drug take-back program twice a year in my council district, because so much experimentation starts out of the medicine cabinet.
Absolutely.
So not only when we first started, it was about the environment. We didn't want the medicines flushed and to go into our drinking water and into our waterways. Now it's a two-prong effect. Now it's the experimentation out of the medicine cabinet that's sort of taken, I don't want to say precedence, but it's on par with the environmental impacts as well. So, and don't think that kids aren't experimenting. They're not.
They are. And the other thing, Jane, since you brought that up, that I think people need to be aware of, especially in Suffolk County, is Narcan is wonderful, but the way the kits are set up now, because of the fentanyl that they're lacing heroin with, the normal 1 or 2 shots that would bring someone back that was just overdosing on heroin, we're finding isn't enough. Sometimes they need 3 or 4.
Wow.
And that's frightening. That's really scary, because Narcan is a wonderful tool. And when we first started to teach people how to do it, it was a shot, and that kind of scared a lot of people off. Now the nasal thing is so much easier and so less threatening for a person who's not a medical person.
Right.
But it's saving lives, and it's bringing people back. And I know there's some criticism that some people are taking their Narcan pack with them, heroin users, and they know if they overdose, there's somebody there to give it.
Somebody will help them.
But you know what? That's a negative issue that we don't need to look at this point. We need to arm people with as much prevention as possible, as Bill said, and just really let people know. Bill made a comment about how many people died in this county. And that, I have to say, with all due respect to those who keep those stats, that's those who have admitted that their children have died. When you see something in the paper that a 25 or 26-year-old died of cardiac arrest, more than not, that
Makes
young
you
person.
suspicious.
Absolutely, and I can't tell you how many people's funerals that I've done and families have asked me not to make reference.
Because that's that shame and stigma.
Absolutely. So the rally,
If we
I
can
think,
do anything is just if we could take away that shame and stigma, I think that so much would evolve naturally from that.
which is why I think this day is going to be so important in terms of moving people to change. I was inspired by the kids from all over the country because of the Parkland unfortunate tragedy, but they're the next generation of leaders. And if we could ignite that same kind of passion around this issue in our community, I think we've got
Because
a shot
so
at it.
many are dying of overdoses.
Yes.
Jane, if I may, I'd like to give the website. It's waronaddictionrally.com. Again, waronaddictionrally.com. And we're excited. We're just looking for as many people as we can get there to help.
And once again, the War on Addiction Rally is going to be held April 21st at the Amphitheater on Bald Hill from 10:30 a.m. to 12 p.m. Last year we walked, this year we rally. Thank you, gentlemen, for coming.
Thank you.
Thank you, Jane. And Bill, thank you for all that you do.
Thank you.